Thanks for downloading the Swearing In podcast, where you'll hear the origin stories of those who chose to serve. So ground your gear, take a seat, and listen up. The Swearing In podcast starts right now. Hello once again, and welcome to the Swearing In podcast. I am your host, Marty Smith. Today, my guest is a longtime friend of mine, retired Senior Master Sergeant Jake Wall of the United States Air Force. I've known Jake for 20 years, having served together in 2001 as staff sergeants on the same crew doing missile warning at Sibbers in Buckley Air Force Base, Colorado. We again served together while at the 380th Space Control Squadron at Peterson Air Force Base, Colorado in 2011. Jake was sworn in 1998 and was a 2 Whiskey 1 aircraft armament troop. He retired as an E-8 1 Charlie 6 space operator in 2018. So that's a little background on Jake. Now, let's get to it.
All right, today I'm sitting here with my good friend, Senior Master Sergeant retired Jake Wall from the United States Air Force. Jake, how are you, man?
I'm doing good, Marty. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you too. You know, the full beard on both of us. Far cry from the good old Sibbers flight suit days.
Oh, those are good days.
They were good,
except for the walk all the way from the parking lot in the exposed tundra.
True. I know, that's true.
In that flight suit.
So Jake and I were both E5s at Buckley Air Force Base, working the Sibbers program from about 01. When did you leave?
I left in 05.
Okay, so about from 01 to 05. We were on crew together for about a year and a half, I think, maybe 2 years.
Yeah.
It was somewhere around there. And because it was always behind a restricted area, where you parked and where you had to go to work was this miserable quarter-mile walk. Now, those who've been down to Schriever Air Force Base would say they have it much worse. True. It's a miserable walk down to Schriever Air Force Base as well. But, and why is it every restricted area I've gone into is flat and open and is just a wind tunnel for anybody walking anywhere?
Horrible to walk there.
It's miserable.
I counted my steps to my building in Schriever.
I used to do that too.
Just to distract myself, just to suck it up. Look down. Okay, what are we doing? 10. Okay, 20. Okay. Man,
I used to say that the only fitness test, because we were space operators, we were 1 Charlie 6s at that time. What the fitness test should have been is from sitting in your car in the parking lot, how fast you can get out, get your badge out, get through the gate, get down the quarter mile, badge into the mission control station, and get to your seat. That should have been the fitness test. If it took you more than like 10 minutes, you're like, yeah, you're too fat. Get out of here.
You're too fat. I had a problem scanning. I promise. I mixed my code up. I don't want to hear it.
I don't know how many times I ran down that sidewalk because I was late for crew changeover.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Oh, my God. I was the greatest quarter-mile sprinter in the world for those 2 years.
Put me against that stopwatch with crew changeover pending.
That's what I said.
I'm good.
It should be just that. That'd be the fitness test. You'd be like, okay, you're good.
Exactly.
You're serving Uncle Sam well. All right, Jake. So you retired in 2018, right?
Yeah, 2018, like November 2018.
After 20 years of service.
Yeah.
So let's roll that clock back. And I believe you told me you were growing up in Oregon.
Yeah, so I grew up in the Cascade Mountains of Oregon, in the Central Oregon. And when I was 14, my dad basically drove me to the ranch and was like, hey, we're getting a job. I know Richard, and he'll probably give you a job, but this is your formal interview. And so I talked to him, and he had me herd up some. Well, it was a ranch, but it was rich people's pets. It was llama and elk. So some Rocky Mountain elk on one side, which was the cool side to be on because they're terrifying.
Oh, they were segmented up.
Yeah, they had 10-foot
They
high
didn't really mix.
No, they don't mix those two. No.
Oh, okay. All right.
I mean, they probably would get along, but I don't know. I've never seen them together in nature.
It's like some interspecies hate crimes between the two.
Rivalry. Look at those guys with their thick wool.
Oh, those elks. They took out your llama cousin last year.
They're eating all the grain. Yeah, so I started that job. I was basically just a ranch hand from when I was 14 all the way up to when I came in. So I graduated high school, and then I didn't even think about going to college or anything.
Your parents ever say anything to you about it?
No. Yeah. Looking back, there was never that push.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it was really never a big push for grades. It was never a big push for college. It was as long as you got B's.
Yeah.
You got the good driver discount or good student discount on your insurance. So if I got less than B's, I had to pay my insurance. So
that's not a bad incentive, actually.
That was very good incentive.
Yeah.
Then all the money I was getting at the ranch.
Oh yeah.
Would go to paying my insurance. So yeah. So I graduated, and then I purposely chose to wait around until after Christmas. I did the summer working at the ranch, and then waited around till after Christmas to enlist. So I was on a delayed enlistment program.
Oh, wait. Why did you decide? When did the military decision kick in?
I honestly, I took the ASVAB just for giggles. But then, like, always growing up, we had Dad and I used to do model planes, and
oh yeah, that's right.
The coolest one was the B1, where the wings on the model, the wings would actually sweep.
So they actually really moved.
Yeah.
That's badass. So, yeah.
And then later on, when we were in the desert, I got a tour of the B1, so that was kind of cool. That was cool to see up underneath it.
Is that the Lancer? The Lancer?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
B1.
That's a supersonic, right?
Yeah.
I think it was supersonic.
They had an initial, I guess, supposedly they initially had a big problem with them because it's close to the same engine as the F-16s, only the B1 has 4 of them.
Yeah.
Right. And so they were just ripping off the mounts in testing, right? Like early on, they would pull some G's and then, oh, crap.
We should probably fix that.
We lost a whole bank of engines. So, but yeah, no, I liked planes, and I didn't like the idea of the Army or the Marines.
Yeah.
My whole idea going in was just to find a reasonable job out when I grew up,
Right. And you
skill set, and
you were talking you just wanted to go in for one hitch, right?
Yeah. I only signed up for 4 years.
4 years.
Yeah. And I signed up as a open mechanic. So anything mechanical.
Yeah. That one blows me away. Open mechanic.
Yeah. So like it was kind of a luck of the draw, but I ended up getting aircraft armament. So I was trained on F-16s there in Texas at.
Now, did they give you that before you went to basic?
I think so. I think I got it at MEPS.
Oh, okay.
After I passed MEPS, I signed up. So I signed up with the recruiter.
You went like delayed enlistment though, right?
I did. So I signed up in June, like very soon after I graduated.
Yeah.
And then I delayed enlistment to January so I could spend the holidays with family. And then Texas is hot, and I grew up and lived in Oregon. So it's not like the most hot place. So I was worried about that.
Oh.
I was really concerned about going to Texas in the summertime and running around outside. So I was like, well, I'll go to Texas in the wintertime.
Smart.
So yeah.
Savvy.
Yeah. So I went basic and then went to tech school in Wichita Falls. And at Shepherd Air Force Base.
Shepherd Air Force Base.
Yeah.
That's not around anymore.
I don't know if it is, honestly.
I don't think so.
It's got to be.
Unless it got sucked into something like by BRAC or something. It's a big tech school
base.
So when did you get sworn in? You got sworn in January 98?
Yeah.
Sworn 98. In January 98.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then did the tech school thing, and the tech school instructor was like, all right, you're going to Eielson Air Force Base, Arkansas. I'm like, Arkansas, that sounds horrible. That sounds like somewhere hot too. I don't think I want that. And then I looked it up and I'm like, where the hell is this Eielson, Arkansas? Anyway, AK, turns out it stands for Alaska, not Arkansas. So as soon as I got the paper, I was like, oh, I'm going to Alaska. So I got a 4-year.
What did you think about that? I mean, had you had any thoughts about Alaska?
No. I had family that lived up there.
Yeah.
In southern Alaska, like Sitka, Juneau kind of area.
Okay.
So I was up for it. That sounded like an adventure, right? That's what I signed up for.
Yeah.
I signed up to travel and be places I'd never been.
Right.
And so I got up there. I was trained on F-16s, and I got up to Alaska 4th of July weekend, and my sponsor picked me up, and he was like, hey, I don't have anything set up for you. You're not assigned to the F-16 squadron. And I'm like, what do you mean, man? What's going on? He's like, well, turns out my squadron is airman heavy, and we traded you to the A-10 squadron because they need some airmen and we needed some staff sergeants. So there you go. So
just like that.
Legit. Yeah.
Apparently it's that easy.
Seems good. So, I get to work the first day. Like I don't have a dorm room. I don't have anything, right? Normally a sponsor, you would get this kid a dorm room. You would get him, back in the day, you would get him a meal card because your meal card and your ID card were different.
Right, because the guy who's coming in, he's only 19. He's new to the Air Force. He doesn't know anything.
No idea. Like,
that
was the thing. As a sponsor, you're like, if you wanted to do a good job, you wanted to have like this kid set up, hit the ground running, have a bed, have bedding, have a room, all that stuff. I didn't have anything. And he couldn't get anything set up for me because we were in different dorms. We were in different buildings on different sides of the base, the
secret about being a sponsor, or the little known secret about being a sponsor, is that if you're a good sponsor, the only one who knows that is the guy you're the sponsor to, because you get no credit. None. You've never gone through your military career and go, how's Jake? He's like, he's so operator. He's a fucking fantastic sponsor, though.
That guy.
Oh my God.
You want a PCS? You want that guy at the base before you.
Nobody's ever said that. No, but
exactly. But it's so underrated, right? Like,
I know it's so important, but nobody gets any credit for it.
Yeah. So I get to Eielson in July, and they were like, congrats, you're on the A-10s. This is an A-10. I know you've never touched one before.
Right, because you spent the last 6 weeks
on the F-16. You had to worry about getting sucked into the engine and all that, and get your face burnt off on the exhaust. On the A-10, you really don't have anywhere to be worried about. Just don't bump your head. So
is that what they told you?
Well, basically, we have to have a safety brief, right?
Yeah.
Like to cordon off the safety areas.
Okay.
And the A-10 doesn't have like anything. Like there's one exhaust for the auxiliary power unit, which fires up the engines. Like you fire up the APU, and then you can fire up the engines, and it acts like a generator, so you can run electronics and stuff like that.
Right.
It was very hot exhaust. However, given that we were in Alaska, anybody walking around back there used to just warm their hands up on the exhaust.
Yeah.
And on the F-16, oh man, there's no playing around with that intake. There's no playing around with.
Really?
Yeah.
When I was in the Army and I was a forward observer, cut over to an infantry mechanized company, and we would go out, and they would have the Bradleys, but they'd cut a company of tanks over to them. And in the mornings when it was cold, everybody was behind that tank exhaust because that was the warmest place to be. So I hear what you're saying about being behind the A-10s.
Yeah.
Especially up in Alaska.
When you're cold, nobody gives a care about fumes.
Nah.
We don't care.
I don't care about my lungs right now because I'm freezing.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then the VA comes back and they're like, hey, why do these guys all have mysterious stuff? And I was like, yeah.
They ingest so many fumes.
We spent a lot of time in exhaust.
Yeah. That's exactly it. Yep.
But you didn't stay there for very long, right?
No.
I mean, you were assigned there, but right after you got there,
I was assigned there for 4 years. And then, but as soon as I hit the ground in July, they were like, hey, congrats. Welcome to the A-10 world. We're leaving in October for Kuwait. So I was like, oh, nice. So I came in Airman Basic. Yeah. I didn't have any plans on any of this. So I didn't try to get extra stripes. I didn't try to do anything. I was like, oh, sounds good. You'll give me a job and you'll feed me. I'm in.
And send me to the desert.
Sounds like a plan. So in October at Eielson, it was averaging in the 20 below.
Oh, range. Already in October?
Yeah. So we get on the plane and it's 26 below. And then we get off the plane in Kuwait and we rode the Freedom Bird, that standard, the old commercial, the stuff that commercial airlines don't want to fly anymore. Like, let's just pack it full of military people and send them. That way, if it gets shot down, we're really not losing a lot of plane here.
Right.
Right. So we rode the Freedom Bird over there and we get off the ground and we get off the plane at 9:00 at night and it is 94 degrees.
Oh my God.
And just all of us are just sweat.
Sure.
So we crawl off the plane and I'm like, well, this is what I signed up for.
You could probably feel that as soon as you landed and started taxiing, I bet.
As soon as they cracked that door.
Oh God.
It was like boom. I'm like, oh no.
It's kind of hit you where you're kind of gulping air. You're like, what's going on?
Everybody's just looking around going, oh man. But it wasn't a long deployment. Like the deployments now are like 4 months, 5 months,
Right.
It was, we did 90 something days.
Oh, okay.
So the first time was 100 and something.
Yeah.
But that was because, I don't know, Clinton liked to randomly bomb other countries, right? Like he just, Kosovo, bomb it. Yeah. Bosnia, Herzegovina, bomb it.
No troops, but we'll bomb it.
We'll bomb the crap out of it. Yeah. Kuwait, bomb it.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Iraq, no, I'm just kidding. Not Kuwait, but Iraq, right? We were doing Southern Watch kind of timeline. It was before we started the second Gulf War.
Right.
And so we were over there and we were on our way back, or we were getting ready to come back.
Yeah.
So the whole time we're there, we're living in tents and it's not bad, but we walked to work from the main Al Jaber base and we walked to the flight line, but you're walking over old water pallets, because you're walking through the sand. But Saddam had literally been kicked out of there a handful of years earlier.
Yeah.
So on both sides of the walkway are the danger UXO signs.
Oh man.
So they cleared our walkway.
They just cleared a path.
They cleared our path.
So for those of you who don't know, UXO is unexploded ordnance.
Yeah. So on both sides of this path are the red wooden
You can see the
triangles.
tags.
Yeah,
It's like,
they're
don't
the
step here.
tags. Like, don't step over there. And then half of our stuff is stored in bombed out hangars. All the
Really?
remember the hardened hangars
Yeah.
that the French built for them?
Yeah.
And then U.S. bombs just went straight through. But we would walk into those hangars and you'd look up and it just
Oh my God. You can
section
see
of it just collapsed and you could see where the bomb came through and just thrashed the whole inside. But so we're over in Kuwait, and then we had the planes taken down. We had all the munitions taken off. If you take the rounds out of the A-10, if it's flying empty in the gun, you have to put ballast in the front end. So there are these big.
So it's not designed to fly empty.
No.
Wow.
And it's self-contained, right? So either when you put it in, all the brass, even if it fires every round it has in it, all the brass is still contained in a drum in there. So
really?
You have to go drop all of them. So that saves the weight too, right?
Okay.
But if you have no rounds in that gun, you have to put ballast in the front up underneath the wheel well in the front of the plane to counteract the weight that you just dropped out of it.
And that gun on the front's what, 20 millimeter? 30 millimeter?
Yeah, 30, the GAU 8. The 20 millimeters, I think it's F-15 and F-16.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
30 mil. Jeez, that's huge.
That's not playing.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's terrifying.
And they're depleted uranium rounds, right?
When we were out there, we did load depleted uranium. Yeah.
So you got that going for you later in life.
Yeah, the black with purple tips.
Yeah.
So every round is marked different. I'm sure you're the same when you loaded artillery.
Well, that's
different colors.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because we're dumb. We're military guys. We need colors.
Yeah, blue is practice.
Blue is
Right. Yellow with red tip is HE.
Yeah.
And we had black with purple tip, and that was depleted uranium.
That's the cancer causer.
So, well, I don't have it yet, but
I know.
The VA does have that marked down, I guess.
Good for you, man. Good.
I'm on the watch list. We'll get him eventually. We'll have to stop paying him eventually.
It looks like that pain in his back cleared up. Oh, but that cancer's coming on strong.
It's coming up quick.
I might bump him up to 75%.
Yeah, exactly. So no, we had all the rounds taken out. We had the gas pods loaded up on the A-10s. We had everything ready to go to travel.
Okay.
And then Saddam wanted to start a fight with something for somehow. I don't remember. And so Clinton's like, oh yeah. So we get the word. They're like, hey, just kidding. And these planes are flying in 2 hours.
Whoa.
Strip them down, load them back up.
Holy shit.
So we did that. It's Operation Desert Fox. I don't know if you've heard of it.
I have heard of Desert Fox.
Oh, really?
Actually, yeah.
Because
we used to make fun of all the operation names.
Oh yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah,
Desert Fox. That's Rommel. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, that was us blowing that was the first time, as a weapons loader, you load bombs all day long.
Yeah.
And the planes come back with the same bombs, right?
Okay.
And then 90% of the time they're not dropping anything. But we loaded all the planes and they came back, all of them, empty. So those pilots were just itching. They're like, just fuck it. Let's double tap this building. Just finally I can do something.
Well, it's got to be easier landing for them too after they drop everything. Exactly. Like, fuck that. This is easy.
So light. Yeah. So we did Desert Fox. So we were out there like 110 days.
Yeah.
Just because of that. And then but the second time was like 90 something.
Oh, okay.
So
did you go did you rotate over there every year for the 4 years that you were up in Alaska?
The third year we did a combined A-10s are ground support,
Yeah.
So we did a combined exercise at Fallon Naval Air Station.
Oh, okay.
With the Marines and then the special ops guys and some ground guys. And so we saw AC-130s there.
Oh yeah, you were telling me about that last time.
Tour of that. Like,
jeez, what a machine of death.
Oh, that is. I can't imagine being on the receiving end of half of our stuff. Right?
I want to be in that meeting where the
military capability.
I want to be in the meeting where the guy proposed this.
Oh,
hey, you see that big cargo plane? We could put a 105 howitzer in there.
Let's throw a howitzer in it. That'll rip the plane apart.
Who is this drunk? Get him out of here.
Have you seen the recoil on that? Yeah, we'll put it on rails so it slides.
Smart.
Oh, well, in that case, deal.
Since we're on the AC-130, I think you mentioned last time that you were trying to cross-train out of ammo, or was it weapons? What was it called?
Weapons,
ammo?
yeah, weapons.
Was it 2 whiskey?
2W1, yeah. 2W151.
So your initial AFSC, and you were trying to get out of that and possibly do aerial gunner.
Yeah,
right?
because I saw that AC-130, and of course I'm a young guy. I'm like, I want something with more action.
Get some, man.
Yeah, I want more boom, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. I'm like, I'm a big softy, honestly. I didn't realize it back then, but so yeah, the aerial gunner guys, that career field it was its own career field, but it hadn't always been. Okay. It had been part of the weapons loader career field. It was just a different shred out.
Oh, all right. All right.
So they preferred to take weapons loaders because we already had that experience with ammunition. We already had experience tearing down guns, Right. And so I went in and I had applied and I got it kind of accepted. And then I had to do the flight physical to go to be aerial gunner. Right.
Right.
And so I go into the doctor, and the doctor in Alaska in the wintertime, doc's like, oh, he says you got seasonal allergies. And I'm like, yeah. He goes, what are your symptoms? Well, stuffy head, runny nose, sneezing. And well, I'm going to need to see these symptoms. And I'm like,
he's going to need to see it.
Thankfully, it's wintertime, and I can't help you out with that. I don't have any of these symptoms right now.
Right.
Well, what do you take? I'm like, just over-the-counter allergy medicine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't approve this.
So
I got denied. So I got denied the flight physical, so I wasn't able to go aerial gunner. So I did. My God. There's that program.
Is that why you cross-trained? Is that why
I loved doing weapons. Like I loved the camaraderie. I loved the physical labor. I loved all of it. But there's really not much call for weapons loading in the civilian world. So
that's true.
And so I was like, well, my whole goal was to get a job when I got out, when I finally grew up. And this is not going to it's not going to lead to that career.
Yeah, probably not.
So
it led to a civilian career as much as my field artily led to a civilian career.
That's exactly it.
Nah.
I'm not throwing baggage for Delta, I'm like, I was a weapons loader, so I can do this.
I guess I can throw suitcases.
Yeah. So now a cross-train opportunity came up, and I signed up for a couple of career fields, but number one on my list was space, because mainly I didn't really know anything about it other than the description. But they had that re-enlistment bonus that was like 6.5, which is insane.
Crazy.
Yeah. It was ridiculous.
Did they give it to you in one lump sum or yearly?
They give you like.
Did they prorate it?
Half up front, and then.
Oh, that's not bad.
And then a piece,
every year.
A piece every year after your 4-year enlistment, right? But yeah, so I signed up for that, and then the doc's like, "Well, you got to have a flight physical for this."
Like, here we go again. But a different guy this time, right?
Different doc that time, and he was a fan of the A-10s. Because then back then, dude, there's a lot of people that once you say, "Oh, I worked on the A-10," mostly Army, mostly ground guys.
So unique,
they
absolutely.
Are like, oh shit,
yeah, we did too. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh, they love it
because we would go I remember at Fort Sill, home of the artillery, right? They would always do these weird, but I think they just used it for a yearly expenditure of ammo.
Yeah.
So they would do this capabilities exercise. This CAPEX is what they called it. And they would bring everything they had, right?
Yeah.
Even like the Apaches got into it.
Yeah.
You know, the helicopters got into it. And then that, like, for the kind of grand finale, the grand finale was like 24 guns shooting, high explosive, all impacting at the same time. Pretty awe-inspiring. But right before that, they would talk about the A-10s, and they would have these A-10s come. I think they were from Tinker Air Force Base, and they would come in, and that's the first, and they were close too. You know, they were probably only a mile out, so you got that full, you know, from that. Yeah. From that, what did you say it was, a GAU?
The GAU 8.
Yeah, and and it was just like, oh my God, there's nothing like that in the world. That's why all the Army guys love it.
Oh, and it can loiter too. Like it can just hang out right there, and it's a presence.
It can loiter and it can take shots. Yeah. And just stay right there.
It just hangs out, and it's tough. Like, you know, there's stories of it coming back with one.
Yeah, I've heard those too. Yeah.
Yeah. Bullets that so one time we had to do, as weapons guys, you had to do the end of runway. So EOR. So you're the last ones to touch the plane before it takes off, because you basically take all the safety pins out. You unsafe all the bombs, all the gun and everything. Right. Yeah. And then we're the first ones to catch the plane and touch it when it lands.
Okay.
So the plane lands, we taxis over, we make sure everything is safe, and we safe it, you know, put the safety pins in. Yeah. So it physically can't discharge the gun. It can't launch any more bombs or anything. And so we catch the plane one time, and as the 3-man, we would always split. One man gets the gun. Okay. And then the 2 and the 3-man get one wing. We go from the middle out, right?
All right.
After you check for hot breaks and other random stuff. So I go to my side, and I'm like, what in the hell is going on here? And there is my one man yells over. He's like, hey, there was a bird strike.
Oh.
And I'm looking at this, and the wheel well, the whole front is at one of the sensors, and it's just smashed and gone. And there is blood streaks all the way up straight into the engine intake. And there's blood streaks on the bottom. Wow. And we pulled feathers. There was feathers stuck in the rack and everything. And I'm like, what kind of bird did this? He hit a bald eagle.
Oh my God.
Half of it went straight into the engine, and the other half went straight onto the racks.
Wow.
And we're sitting there. And
they're huge.
Oh, they're huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so later on that day, we were, you know, that was off the flying schedule for a couple of days, right?
Sure.
So later that day, I talked to crew chief, and I'm like, hey, what kind of damage on the engine? He's like, really? It's crazy. I only got like one bent tine on there.
Really?
Because they had to go through and check all the blades.
Yeah. Yeah.
After, you know, just to make sure nothing's bent, nothing's cracked.
Sure.
He had one. They had to swap out one.
That was it.
I'm like, what? This is crazy. Yeah. I don't know whether the majority of it went underneath.
Yeah. Maybe it minced him up before it got to
there was blood streak all the way up the fuselage right into the intake.
That is nuts.
I'm like, holy cow. So,
all right. One thing I want to catch you before we close out. And I know you went into space and you were talking about camaraderie of weapons, right?
Yeah.
But you told me that story about was it safety wire? Is that what it was? The safety wire, right? Yeah. Tell me the safety wire story and how they got you.
Man, any moment of weakness, basically, and everybody will pounce on you, right? So,
right.
My shop's rule is if you took your blouse off, if you took your coat off, you hung it up on the coat rack or you hung it in your locker.
And that was the only places you could put it.
Yeah, that's the only, not on the back of the chair, not left in the truck. And if it was left in the truck, you put it in the bench, right? There was just to keep everything nice and tidy. And so being a new guy, I had not learned this rule yet.
Okay.
And so I had taken my blouse off and I hung it on the passenger seat, on the back of the passenger seat,
All right.
which it's one of those bread vans. So like the cargo van, the whole back is empty except for a wooden bench that, we had just built and put in there.
And the only seats are driver and passenger seats.
Yeah, those are the only two legit seats.
Yeah.
And so I had put my blouse on that seat and then gone to work, right? And he drops us off. He's like, okay, take care of all this stuff. Well, when I came back, my blouse was safety wired to the seat. So
wait, explain to those out there who don't know what safety wire is.
So safety wire is like any bolts or anything that you tighten up on a plane has a hole drilled from a solid point to the bolt. So when you put the nut on it, you put safety wire through the nut and then you tighten it and then you basically wire it to the frame. So you physically can't undo this bolt or this nut without cutting that safety wire.
Okay.
It's rather than Loctiting everything.
Sure.
You just safety wire. And they use it in other aspects too, but it's basically wire. And then they take pliers and it twists the wire into a coil. And then you cut the end and you twist it back underneath. Right?
Okay. I've seen those. I didn't know how they did it though. It's
a specific pair of pliers that lock, and then you pull the end like an old school drill.
Wow. Like, it just does it automatically.
It pulls the end and the pliers kind of spin.
So like in a couple seconds, twist. You got to twist.
You're like, zzz, and it's 5-6 twists. Well, every single button was safety wired to the button holes. and then there's wire run down through, like even the pocket buttons were safety wired. And then the sleeves were run underneath the seat and then safety wired together and then safety wired to the seat. And so it took me like 15, 20 minutes.
So wait, when you're done, okay, so when you're done and you're walking up to it, did you know they did it? Or did you like pull on it and go, what is going on?
It looked good. Like that was half the fun. Like finding the person with surprise, right? Like you can't just have like silver tape all over this thing. Like,
right.
No, it's like, what the hell is wrong with this? Oh man, they got me. Right. And so it was done well. Like couldn't really see a lot of wire hanging out of anywhere. And I go to take the blouse off there and they just you'll just leave people, just leave them. All right. And they're probably all inside doing changeover, laughing their asses off.
Right.
About me out there thrashing around, trying to get my blouse off, worrying about it because I'm a brand new airman.
Oh yeah, you got all that stress going through.
I'm late for changeover. I'm gonna get in trouble. What are these guys doing? They hate me.
I hate them. God damn, why do they do it?
Yeah. And meanwhile, they're laughing their asses off, just thinking about the hard time I'm having. Yeah. That was mine. And after that, there was all kinds of other shenanigans, like, your blouse, if you left it out, or your hat, if you left it out, it would get put in a Ziploc bag and filled with water. And frozen.
Yeah, especially in Alaska. Hey, you wouldn't even have to put it in the refrigerator.
Anytime. Throw it outside. So it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of camaraderie. But that, like we said before, like that is why I think I had such a hard time transitioning over to space.
Sure.
Now, I love both career fields a lot. They're both great career fields, but they're night and day difference.
Absolutely.
In crew cohesion, and camaraderie, and a lot of times, space tends to be get in, get your job done, do your 12 hours,
kind of,
and then come.
Well,
there's groups. we had a blast on.
I thought we had a great group. Yeah, I thought we had a great group. You know, it was a lot of fun. But some crews weren't like that. You know.
No.
And space is it's structured different. It's different, and you know, it's probably a good thing you went to that weapons assignment first. You know, before you went into space, because if you came in expecting action and adventure, and you went through that first assignment in space, you'd be like, "This is it." You know, what is everything else, right?
Yeah, I'm good without this.
Yeah. So, Jake, that's been fun. That has been a lot of fun. You know, it's good talking with you again. I appreciate everything you've done, and you know, thanks for the interview. I really do.
Thanks, Marty. I really appreciate it, man.
That was retired Senior Master Sergeant Jake Wall. You know, I'll have to bring him back so he can tell us a story of the airman and the ankle monitor. That's a good story. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and make sure to download the next episode for more service origin stories. So until next time, on your feet and fall out.